So one of the conversations, again, shout out to Antoinette, who's one of our friends with benefits that joined us. We went out with her on Cinco de Mayo, and one of the things we started talking about was just meeting people. Bridget and I had a conversation on where I was having a difficulty with feeling like I was losing friends. In real life, I put them in a friend category, and they didn't need to be, because maybe they were just acquaintances. Maybe they were my peers. Maybe they were my colleagues. If y'all go back and listen, me and Bridget had a really deep conversation with that, but Antoinette brought something up, and I wanted to have it with you because you're in this space with a lot of people. And before we get out of here, a lot of people are probably listening to this. They see we've all excelled in different spaces. But the conversation started from her being really annoyed with people in introduction asking the question, so what do you do?
Right.
And
she from LA?
No, she's from Philly.
She's from Philly.
Okay.
But go ahead and if you could elaborate
I think
how the conversation went, because you're better with words than me.
Essentially we all, I think the most common topic that's been the catch-up topic with friends and stuff has always been, well, what are you doing now that there's a pandemic? Or how have you managed to get by? Or what's next on your docket, so to speak, knowing that everything in the world is kind of shut down. But even meeting new people now, like even in a social setting and social spaces, we were saying too, it's like it's really awkward now. Like I'm totally fine not engaging and being in my house. I'm totally cool with that now. I don't want to talk to nobody. And so, to kind of break the ice, I guess, in most conversations, how I wouldn't even know how to approach a networking conversation now, because the first thing people lead with is, well, what do you do? And what are you doing? And how are you figuring this out? Which now, because of quarantine, feels like such a personal, invasive question. Like, and it's like, it's a little intrusive and I don't really know you like that. But just overall, like even the idea of approaching networking and what networking is going to look like now going forward. One of the things that Antoinette asked, which I thought was really brilliant, was like, how do you answer? It's like somebody asking you, who are you? And you're expected to answer with what you do. But how do you answer that question?
How do you say who you are
how
without
do you answer
saying
that
what
question
you do?
Without saying, like when someone asks you, who are you? How do you answer that question without saying, this is what I do?
It's different. I mean, to your first point, the first time somebody asked me that, like if they're a friend, if they ask me what I do, a lot of times that's just like code for, are you doing okay? Right? Like, especially if that's like a friend of yours.
If it's someone that you know,
somebody you trust.
How do you take that question from a stranger?
That's the thing. From a stranger is different because I'm meeting you. If I'm meeting you in a certain capacity where, say, it is a networking event or a place where I feel like I can meet people or network with folks, great. I got the elevator pitch in my head, like to talk to somebody. I could be like, I content create for XYZ. I have a show. I do this for TV, whatever. It's kind of like all encompassing. But what makes it a harder question to answer is that in this past year, everybody's so tied in, personally with what you do and who you are that, if you don't have like a quick 10-second explanation of what you do, you almost look like you don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times it's, if someone came and asked me, well, Kaz, what do you do? And I'm just like, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, like whatever. They're like, oh, okay. Like they'll just kind of roll their eyes and be like, oh, well, good for you, whatever. Yeah. But people who know me know that it's like, it's a lot more complicated.
Your resume long.
It's very long,
Well, it's been one thing that has led you into another.
Right.
Almost every single step has led you into
another. Into another.
If anybody's been following, I agree with you though. I think now that when the question gets posed from somebody that knows you, even on the surface level, it's kind of like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because also,
are you doing good?
Are you doing okay? Yeah, you're doing good. Like it's almost like a surface check-in question because you don't really know if the person is.
Because most of my friends, I got friends I've known for years that I like legitimately do not know what they do.
What they do
from a day-to-day basis. That's just my friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, like what I do is so a lot of it is so public.
Right.
That it's I feel like I have to answer that. Whereas a lot of people don't really need to.
It's weird to me because in the space you have networking, but then like I said, you also have these, I would say, false pretenses of friendship with people too. And so where I took that question, and even where Antoinette was going, like a lot of people ask, "What do you do?" because they want to see how they can use you. Yeah, and so that's where I'm entering rooms now, knowing that I have these ties to the people that I have. And a bit of me, while I want to network and continue to grow and meet people, it's also, I'm now jaded in where I thought I was building genuine friendships with people in this space and wanting to elevate them, just to know that when I said no enough times, they were like, oh, I guess I can't
We're
use
not
her in the
friends
way
no
that
more.
we're not friends no more because
Yeah.
she's not being able to excel me in the way that I thought she was going to be able to push me, or she wasn't able to get me into these rooms I thought I had access to now
Yeah.
because we had this friendship
And
title.
a lot of times, like if they're looking to you as a friend and they don't get on because of you, it's almost like, well,
you owed me that.
you
There's a
owed
sense
me
of
that.
The
entitlement.
Like,
entitlement.
there's a sense of entitlement. And I've had that plenty of times where like I had folks that were close to me, that I thought were close to me, that I thought were friends, that were, you know, it took some real shit happening to find out, oh, this is just a business relationship.
Yeah.
Like I came to you
that
as
part.
like
Yeah.
a homie, as a friend.
Yeah.
And, you know, when shit really hits the fan and some real life stuff,
Yeah.
it gets awkward. So I would say like to you and to like other folks who kind of like have this sort of difficulty, man, like
Like right now, I don't want to go outside.
Yeah, like,
I'm about to be like Beyonce, no access, exclusive. Like if there's a Mandy sighting outside, I wanted to be like, oh damn, she showed up.
Yeah.
And I used to be, you know, I was always out.
I've
been out in New York
the
since.
envelope at one point.
Yeah,
now
like-
I'm just like, nigga, if I ain't getting a check,
If
there,
I'm not getting a
or if
check,
I'm not
right.
personally supporting a homie, I'm saying I love being home. I love being with my dog, my girl. Like
I
that
just
is
love. I
life.
just got to that space, but I also wanted to ask you too, in the space that you've been into, the opportunities that you've had, and again, for any content creators listening, of course, they put themselves out because they do feel like they have to know a lot of people. But something that I've realized in conversations and in opportunities is not even about who knows you, or it's not about who you know. It's who knows you.
Knows you, yeah.
And who knows you in the capacity to when opportunities come around, you're on their mind. And that's where I feel like, damn, that's where a lot of opportunities have fell in my lap because maybe I was just out that last week, an opportunity came on the table and they're like, I know the perfect person for this because they just saw me out.
Yeah.
So there's one of those things
That's
where
definitely how I work.
Yeah,
like I like to work with people that I have at least a 1 degree of separation with. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Right.
it's like if I know you're good and I know I can help build this network of people, and granted, it's not to say like I'm only going to put my friends on. Like
Right.
you know, you always want to get the person who's most
course,
qualified
who's most
to help
qualified.
out. But it certainly doesn't hurt. Like if you know this person already, you know their track record, you know
yeah.
they got some good shit, and it's mutually beneficial. Of course, you want to help that person out. But a lot of times, it's not that easy.
Right.
And when it's
Right.
not that easy for certain people, there grows like a certain resentment. And a certain-
Bridget, I wanted to ask you
think it's- and I
because you
think
were
it's gonna
you were in this
go-
space,
I think
and
it's
I want to
gonna
know
go either-
that.
I think it can go either way, especially
Talk to
now
me.
because I feel like now the discernment that kicks in is a lot stronger for me anyway, because I'm only now connecting with and linking with people like you said that are 1 or 2 degrees of separation from people I'm already connected with. So now rather than have us be like, oh, let's go out for happy hour, let's go out for drinks, it's giving, I'm gonna have y'all over to my house,
Yeah.
and we're gonna break bread, and we're gonna sit and have this like communal environment where we can talk about business if we want to, but we're gonna set up a space where we can create a level of comfort first before we get into that.
Right.
And then once that foundation is established, it makes it so much easier then to have a conversation about what we're doing about work or what
Yeah,
we're
'cause
doing
there's
creatively.
comfort there.
Well, yeah, of course.
And-
Because I hate that question. People ask me all the time, well, when is the new music coming? Girl, I don't know. I don't know.
When it comes.
And it's true. It's like if we're not close friends, but again, it also depends on who's asking you.
Right.
It's different if somebody on Instagram I don't know is asking me when the new music comes, and if Rory asks me and is like, "Hey, I'm working on this thing. Do you want or do you
Right.
Cool. Let's work. Let's talk. Let's chop it up." The answer is always going to be different depending on who the person is asking.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to approach it, especially if you are somebody that's new to content creation or you're just a creative in general. It's less about figuring out how to ask the right questions and really your presentation of how you want to be received. And I think for me, that's always been something that artists are able to take for granted because yeah, we are. We're able to take it for granted because how we choose to present ourselves is going to be based on how we want to be received.
Right.
I don't think other creatives consider that in their presentation of themselves.